So in this video, what I'm going to do is give you a long time lapse, multiple days, multiple weeks, maybe even multiple months, about renovating the studio into what you see now. So I don't really have a whole lot of before. If you want to see before, go ahead and watch some podcast episodes. Check out the socials for me. You'll see a lot of the stuff on there because I did post about this through the process to the time lapses. Hello, it's me. Okay. What's up, everybody? I'm going to do a little bit of a voiceover for this, and then we'll have some music come in the interim, because there's actually quite a bit that goes on during this process. And I don't know, I just figured I'd kind of help try to explain it to you and make it less boring. So for the beginning here, you can see we're mostly just cleaning stuff up, moving furniture around. We had a lot of gear and equipment to get out of here that was just kind of hanging around. But as you see, this was basically what the setup was for a little while. There were some change in, there's a lot of evolution to the studio over time. And when you get to the end, you'll see really what it's like in the majority of its final form. So that's my dad's friend Timmy. They're in the gray hoodie, and then my dad's in the brown long sleeve shirt. They run a show called the Alphabet Suite Podcast, where they talk about print and stuff. You will see that filmed in the studio here. You can check that out below as well. It is also on your audio platforms. And then here we go into pulling these pipes out. We had some copper pipe, and then we have that PVC pipe going down along underneath it. On this wall, when we moved into this house, there was a countertop there with some cabinets and stuff underneath it, and it had a fully functioning sink that ran to our water closet. You can see there. So we had to get those pipes out of the way, just so we had the whole room again. And you can see the floor is actually still unfinished under there because it was underneath the countertop cabinets. It was all just setting on the floor, and we put this flooring in when we moved in. There used to be like adhesive, like storefront style carpet down here. It was awful, so we had to rip all that up, and we put down this flooring. It's just like the laminate stuff. So we pulled the copper pipes out. We just cut those, capped them off, pulled out that PVC pipe and cut it up just so it could fit in the garbage. That's Dad checking it out. He's inspecting like the hole. There's me sweeping. That's me vacuuming, cleaning out the floor a little bit. And you will see in a second here, Dad's going to go ahead and cut a hole in the wall to get all the holes out, just to make it easier to repair. And here you'll see them start pulling up the trim down there. The trim actually helps hold those laminate tiles down a little bit on the edges, and obviously hides gaps and mispaint there. When we did paint this house when we moved in, all that trim is off because we were doing flooring everywhere. This gray wood laminate tile is over the majority of the house. I think it looks great, and it works wonderfully. So we're pulling nails out of the trim, little brads out of the trim. Dad's pulling them out of the wall there. It starts to pull up the flooring a little bit. And what you'll see is Dad and Timmy pulling the flooring panels up and kind of just laying them back. That's an easy way to tear up this kind of flooring without having to like remeasure a whole bunch of stuff. You're going to see them do that anyways. So you just kind of pull the rows up, set them over there, and then you can be ready to lay your new tiles down. Because the thing with this flooring is, if you ever have a gap like that, you have to go all the way back before it and then make it work. You have to pull it all the way back and go to where that gap isn't there anymore. and then work your way back up. And unfortunately, when we first did this floor in, all the research we did and the people we talked to about it was like, no, you don't need a vapor barrier, all that, you'll be fine. Turns out that was completely incorrect. We do need a vapor barrier, but to do that, we have to tear up all of the flooring in the basement. And the basement is the same footprint as the main floor, so it is a lot of flooring to pull up to put the vapor barrier and whatever other stuff we need to put down there on. I mean, it's moving everything out and around like crazy, and there's so much stuff down here, it's not even really worth the effort at the moment. So you'll see them do that in this room. Well, not the vapor barrier, but cutting and measuring the tiles, installing them, and going all the way back up to the back wall. Now, I am not an expert in these laminate tiles, but if you do have any questions about it, I mean, you can find anything on the internet. Basically, you lay them down, they lock together with this weird system where you got to angle it just right, and it's kind of like a pinch thing. It's really weird. And then you just measure them on the wall by folding them, flipping them upside down, cutting off what you don't need, and slapping it in there. It's kind of cool stuff. Definitely makes flooring easier than what it used to be, and a lot of them look really good. They do a great job. If you do the proper weatherproofing underneath it, they turn out great. And to be fair, even without the vapor barrier down here, these are fantastic. And as you can see there, they started going back and forth. I don't think it really matters which end you start on. The biggest thing you need to look out for is that your cuts are right and that you don't have any seams lining up. It also helps them stay together a little better. So you'll see them start with different sized pieces and stuff like that. Typically what we would do when we were doing the whole floor is we would go all the way down, and then whatever was left over at the end that we cut off, which always happened. And if it doesn't, you make it happen. But the small piece or whatever piece was left over would start the next row, which is really easy when you're putting it down the first time. But when you're having to redo a room, or in this case, you're redoing a whole room just because of a little spot, it can make it a little complicated. And they did an amazing job as always. see here in just a few seconds how difficult it can be doing the ends of a run. You got to make very long cuts with not the convenient slicer tool that you get for these things to cut the whole boards shorter height wise, and you got to follow walls if you're in a situation similar to ours where not every wall is square and flat, unfortunately, even though this house is not that old. There's a lot of waves, there's a lot of non-90 degree corners, and not even just like a little bit off. Like some of the walls down here are bad. So yeah, you gotta cut them down to fit the end and make it work. What you're seeing here is the next day or so, I believe. My dad and I are down there putting the trim back up. We have a nice little setup with a small air compressor and the brad nailer, just throwing the trim back up. And of course, you got to clean your workspace. It's always best to do it now with nothing in it, and get all your stuff out of there and clean it up real good, and it, ends up with a better product. While editing this, I did really enjoy watching Morpheus go around do his cat things in time lapse. It's really, really funny to watch. He's such a cute little bastard. And this is the beginnings of the big table that you see in the studio now. That's the main foot there. That's my mom coming down to help. And they're talking about some plans and stuff. And there is the top. This thing is huge and quite beefy. It is definitely industrial size. And here you can see I didn't realize the battery died on the GoPro. So missed a whole lot of the work of us under the table lining up those legs and the big support in the center there. There's a large amount of fasteners for this table. Like, this was very much designed for some big corporate level business meetings, and that's only half the table. This is a big oval shaped table. Comes with built-in power. Those are 2 power strips in there that tuck away. Those are really rad. Wiring runs down, and everything's nice and hidden underneath. There's plenty of room for people, and in fact, there's so much room for people, I sometimes have some difficulty framing up some good shots in there just because this thing is massive. So here we start pulling out the sound deadening material. Got some bass traps for the corners, and then we have the just regular square panels everywhere. These come shipped vacuum sealed, so they're all shrunk up. You gotta let them sit out for a while. There's other ways to go about it, but I just decided to let them sit out and do their thing. So this is actually my mom doing one of the things that she does enjoy to do at times, painting the wall there. We already primed it up, Threw some fresh primer down because the wall wasn't that great. We had to cover up the newly patched hole in the wall anyways. So we had to spend some time finding the right paint. We have a lot of similar colors down here. Down in the basement, there's a lot of gray blues or blue grays, whatever you want to call it. So we had to find the right one. It took some time, and even while you see it wet while being filmed here, hello Morpheus. Yes, hi. Say hi. Ow! To the time lapse. But you'll see when it's wet, it's really gray and really light. It's totally different color, but it dries up, and I mean, obviously matches perfectly because it's the same color. That there in my hands in the video is the Morpheus that is currently in my lap, destroying my hand. Cats, especially black cats. Gotta love them. There are actually a few scratches and nicks and dings around the walls from all the work that's been done in here over the years, so just doing some touch-ups while we had everything out at the time just made sense. So, as you can see, all the paint is the same now. Over here has been repaired. There's a big hole in the wall for like the old pipes and stuff that used to be here, so that is now repaired. This is going to change at some point. That's going to change at some point, but hello Morpheus. What's going to happen now is I'm going to clean the new acoustic paneling up a bit. So I'm going to try to clean this up a little bit, organize it a little bit so he stops flattening these out. And then start trying to figure out the arrangement for these acoustic panels, as well as these decorative ones here, and how exactly those are going to be mounted. I mean, this project's come a long way. This has been, you know, a fun little thing to show kind of the progress of the studio for the company here. And I don't know, let's just get back into some time lapse. I mean, that's basically it, what I said there. I'm gonna start figuring out how I want to lay these out, and I start by separating ones out that are going to go for these big oversized panels that I make in the future that you will see in this video as well. So I sort out, and I'm figuring out where to put the bass traps, how I'm going to do those decorative panels, which are also kind of sound diffusion. Unfortunately, a lot of those arrived damaged in some way, a lot of cracks, a lot of chips, some missing pieces, so I had to work with that. What you see here, I actually got a door cover that I'm measuring up on the door. It happens to fit the whole frame perfectly, which is nice. We're just discussing how to hang it, whether with the hooks or with double-sided Velcro tape. I wanted to do the Velcro just to make it easier, but he's like, just throw those up there. It's going to be a little stronger. And he had a point, but still. And then there's also a little protector thing that goes on the bottom of the door and helps seal out some air. I think it's actually just mostly for weather, but I use it for sound as well. Because there's a lot of stuff in there. Our HVAC's in there, and our water cleaning systems are in there. So when those kick on, they do make some noise. It still comes through the wall. It's not a perfectly insulated wall, but it blocks a lot through the door. It's just a, hollow door. So it does make a big difference, and I hope that in the podcast recordings, since these upgrades, there have been some noticeable differences on the receiving end. Definitely in the editing side, it has made it easier for me to clean up a lot of the audio. So yeah, we're gonna cover up this door. Try to isolate as much noise from there as possible, and then I'll start throwing up the insulation panels. So as you've seen, we've made a bit of progress. Test some locations for some sound deadening. Those are set aside for the major panels that are going to be coming at some point. And some other things. So right now I'm going to get into basically permanently installing some of these panels. And yeah, back to some time-lapse goodness. So permanently was in quotes because I'm basically just using some T-pins to hang all this stuff up. The corner stops and the small square panels, the foam ones, it's a lot of just little T-pins holding it up. They don't do massive holes in the wall. Like, the holes are so small you can cover them up with paint. So that was the plan in case all of this had to be torn down or changed in the future. Like, I don't want to damage these walls too much, and I use them as much as possible. I want this stuff not only to look good, but I want it to be functional. So I spent a lot of time thinking about where I'm going to put what, how it's going to look, how is it going to affect the sound. And come to find out, there's still way too much flat space in this room. So yeah, it does look pretty decent in the end. I do have a lot of additions that I need to make for it to like really kill the sound. But currently it's not been in the budget, to be completely honest, and I'm not totally sure that it's going to be completely possible in this room because there's so many differing flat faces, shooting sound in so many different areas, so many different directions. I'm just not totally sure how to stop it all without turning it into a complete, sound dead chamber with giant foam and, making you hear your blood flow. We're going to figure something out. So if anyone has any expertise in this area, feel free to drop a comment down below. I would love to see and hear what your thoughts are and how we can improve this. Because there is still a bit of an echo in the room. And it does get picked up by the mics. And here you'll see me measuring out some nice double stick tape. That's what's holding these decorative diffusion panels up. And these ones with this really thick rubberized tape work great. They're still up. Later on you'll see that I use some thicker white foam tape, which ironically is the stuff that is still stuck to the ceiling in some places. It stuck to the ceiling great until you put it on these panels. For some reason these panels, I put two up later in that big flat piece you see on the ceiling there, that subsequently fell down about a week later. So they did not stick well. I got to find another solution for that as well, outside of a completely different system. So yeah, here we go, back to it. That was me actually inspecting all of these decorative panels, seeing which ones were in the best condition and saving the most broken ones for the end. So this is a little bit of a time warp again. You can see I started the back wall there. Some furniture has changed. And I've decided, I thought I would be clever with cutting this tape up. And it did actually make it a little faster, a little easier. So I wanted it to look cool, like I said before. And I felt like I did a pretty decent job doing it on this back wall here. It's a nice step pattern. Symmetrical, of course, and I think it turned out pretty great. Alright, so as you can see here, there's been a lot of evolution here. Table's set up, those panels are up, the corner stops are up, got some over there and over here. These panels are up. I didn't get everything in the time lapse, well, because there are some people that are helping that don't necessarily want to be on camera. So not everything was in there, but that's fine. There's going to be some more happening, so I'm going to try to get this set up. So get a little more time lapse with that, but basically we're pretty much done. There's a few more things we got to get going. We're going to soften up that lighting in some way, not totally sure how yet. And I've got these big panels that we're going to put those panels on over there that you probably can't see. And we're going to have big panels around here. So let's try to get back to it for a little bit. You definitely could not see those panels in the corner whatsoever, and that's fine because there they are. These are the big panels that I mentioned earlier. I just got some big flat poster board, cardboard stuff, and some CRC spray adhesive. Glued it all on there. This glue is working great. There hasn't been any issues whatsoever with that adhesion. And these panels have stuck to the walls very well. They were also posted up with, oh no, these were put up with heavy duty command strips with Velcro, so they can be slightly adjusted if need be, and they're holding up fantastic. I've had zero issues with that staying up at all. And I also recommend, if you are going to be using a rattle can spray adhesive, wear a mask, because it gets everywhere, and glue in your breathing orifici is not fun at all. I learned that lesson the hard way. And even with my 3M like painter's mask that I have on, it still got through quite a bit. But yeah, definitely want to have some protection when using this stuff. It is not to be trifled with. And so what you see here is Desiree. She came in and helped me figure out where I'm going to put these panels and how to hang them up. She helped me with measuring and doing some maths, and helping with leveling and helping it look good. She would check things out, and then I would check things out, and then we stick it on the wall with those 3M little sticky doodads. And she was a wonderful help for this. I really appreciated her assistance, because she definitely didn't have to. In fact, nobody had to do this, and I just want to say genuinely thank you all for your assistance. Here is a massive time jump. We've recorded a few podcasts at this point, and you can see that we have the Rode PSA 1 Plus mic arms now installed in the table. And we did the permanent mount where you drill a hole, because I think that looks better, and it's actually more functional with this kind of table. So we have those two mic arms set up on the table now for the Alphabet Suite. You can see Dad and Tim sitting across from each other in those episodes. That will be linked down below, of course. And the lovely carpet is back in. I love this carpet. We bought it when we first moved into this house. It's got a cool design. It's got great colors. I love it. So it's back in there. Helps with sound deadening a little bit. And the couch on the back wall, where you can see I did another custom design of sound deadening, is no longer there. Unfortunately, pulling out all that soft furniture actually increased the echo. So it's not the best it can be right now, but it is the best that it has been, even with all the furniture gone. So just doing a little bit cleanup here, running some wiring, testing some other things out. And I think I also stick up a few more panels in a couple random places just because I had some extra ones and didn't want them lying around. Yeah, throw a couple more up on the ceiling, a couple more on the walls, and you will see me use that white foam tape here that I got off Amazon to stick up those big decorative ones. I 100% do not recommend that when you're trying to stick something to the ceiling. Oh, and if you're wondering why I cut it, well, I needed 1/4 inch thick, diameter, I mean, whatever, 1/4 inch wide, double stick tape. And I had inch on hand. I asked my dad if he had some lying around at his shop. And he had 1/4 inch thick, but not 1/4 inch wide. So I just cut them in the quarters. I want to make clear I'm not sponsored by any of the products in here, at least as of editing this video. But I am partnered with Castos, so if you're thinking about making your own podcast, check the links down below. They have a lot of tools. I've been working with Castos for years on my own shows, and it's a fantastic platform. It gets your podcast anywhere and everywhere you could want it to be at good prices. So definitely check that out. And it supports me without any additional expense to you. So yeah, thank you. If Rode or any other audio company would be willing to sponsor us, that would be fantastic. You can hit me up down below too. I would love you forever. Alright, so that's basically that. This is the studio. I mean, there's going to be a few other small things that I'll be handling off camera here, but this is basically what the studio is going to be for a little while. So thanks for watching this little behind the scenes of the renovation. A whole bunch of time lapse. Hopefully I got some decent music in there, and you may see this before a podcast episode comes out. You may see it after. I'm not totally sure yet. Like I said, got a few small things to do still. Still got a little bit to go. So thanks for watching behind the scenes, and you know what it's kind of like being me for a little bit. This video took months to complete, just with all the things going on. And this is going to be an ongoing process. That's just kind of the part of it, I guess. So, thanks for watching. If you like what you saw, hit the like button. Subscribe if you want to see more. This isn't really something I normally do, so if you're into like this, I guess don't subscribe, but check out the channel, see if there's anything here that you like, and I'll see you soon.